The following is a presentation of Muddy River Sports.
Well, Chris Duerr, I was inspired by you this week.
What did I do this time?
You do a lot of things. Inspirational.
Oh, wow. I've never been accused of that
But
before.
last week when I was editing Duerrisms,
Okay.
you did some lists.
Oh, you've captured my fondness for the list.
Yes, I love lists. I tried to do a podcast at one point in time called The List.
Yes, I remember.
Never quite got off the ground the way we wanted, but it was fun while we did it.
Yes.
So I thought for this week's episode of Mud Brothers, a Muddy River Sports Podcast, brought to you by CDS Office Technologies, right here in the studio, we should do a bunch of lists.
I'm game. What do you want to talk about?
Okay.
I'll talk about whatever.
Well, I threw some ideas at you,
Okay.
Just to make sure that we were both kind of prepared. We try to do this off the cuff,
Yes.
but when you're putting lists together, sometimes it's hard to go off the cuff with all your lists because you're going to forget things.
Surely.
And I'm sure we're going to forget things tonight that we're going to go back in a few days and be like, why didn't I say that?
Exactly.
But
Happens
that's okay.
every week.
So I'm going to start off in our realm of our business.
Okay.
Top 5 or however many you want to go with. Events that you have never covered
Okay.
that you would love to cover. That you would love to be at as a professional journalist and be able, in your case, to do videography and tell a story.
Okay.
For me to write about or take photos or whatever. What are some of those that would be the events you've never covered that you would want to cover?
So I think the top of my list, I was actually fortunate enough to get to go and do this a couple of years, courtesy of our friend Jack Lucy. I would love to cover the Army-Navy game.
You've been to the Army-Navy as a fan.
Having been there as a fan, just such a unique, patriotic college football experience.
Love
And like
that.
you and I love college football
Yes,
the way
without
we
a
do.
doubt.
I think that is the height and evolution of the best possible scenario for that. I'd like to cover the Masters. You know my love of golf.
Yeah.
I've never walked Amen Corner. I've never been on site at Augusta. Just to be a part of that experience, particularly on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think that last day of the Masters when everything's moving and to watch the leaderboard.
I like that.
And to be connected to that would be huge for me. A Sacramento Kings playoff game, which will probably never happen in my lifetime.
Okay.
It'd be very hard for me to cover that dispassionately, but I would because that's the job.
Right.
But I also think I would be on such pins and needles. Maybe it wouldn't be nearly as enjoyable
I
as
have
would
a
thought.
similar one on my list.
I think those would be probably my top 3.
Okay.
Just in terms of what I can think of off the top of my head here.
I gotcha. For me, number 1 would be the College World Series.
That would be awesome for you. Yes.
For me, as a seam head, I would love that.
Yes.
And I've never even been to the College World Series because the problem is it falls in that window where I'm preparing for the Muddy River Showcase or back in the day, the McDonald's Heraldry Classic. So it's like I can't leave now, when that's going on. So I don't know when that's going to happen for me.
Okay.
But getting to the College World Series, just as a fan, would be phenomenal. To be able to sit there and cover it and deep dive into it, to me, that would be kind of top of the hill for me.
Okay.
Number 2 for me would be the Winter Olympics.
I never took you as I know you're a patriotic guy, but I hockey I get.
Yes. But no, the one event that I love more than anything in the Olympic realm, the bobsled.
I was going to say, if you said curling, I was going to slap you.
I love curling too. Don't get me wrong. Curling, because curling you could sit there and go, hey, let's go have a beer and have fun. But no, the bobsled is my favorite Winter Olympic sport.
Okay.
Bar none. I would love to drive a bobsled. I know I probably wouldn't fit in a bobsled, but I would love to drive a bobsled.
I was always weirdly fascinated by the ski jumping.
Okay.
Just because it seems so death-defying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I do know from one of my close buddies and one of my best friends from college, Chip Scoggins, who's a columnist for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, he's covered the Winter Olympics. And I know what a grind it is, especially when you have to catch a bus or a train or something from one event to another event and then get back to do the work. And it's a logistical nightmare as a journalist if you want to cover multiple events.
Okay.
But it sounds incredible. Plus, wouldn't it be fun to cover the ice hockey?
I think that would be super fun. I also think that you put on a very good point, though, that is exhausting work.
Yeah.
Once you do
yes.
it, it's probably something you'd never want to do again.
Yeah. My fandom one that I would love to do.
Okay.
And again, I covered the University of Missouri men's basketball program.
Yes, you did.
So, but I never got to cover them in the Final Four.
Okay.
Because they've never been to the Final Four.
Yes.
That would be kind of the ultimate covering Mizzou in the Final Four, writing about the Tigers, playing at the pinnacle of college basketball. That would be incredible.
I think that's really cool. Something that you have done that I have not, that I'm jealous of, that I think I could add to this list is to go to Lahaina. It wouldn't even have to be Mizzou and cover the Classic there. And that is like number one on my wife's fantasy of sports is going to see Duke at the Lahaina Classic.
Okay. The Maui Invitational.
Whatever we're calling it now.
Yes.
It's Lahaina. It's always been Lahaina.
It's in Lahaina.
Yes, at Chaminade.
And it's always been the Maui Invitational.
Yeah,
I've covered it.
Yes.
And the year I covered it was incredible because Duke was there.
Yes.
Kentucky was there that went on and won the national championship
Can't
that
ask
year.
for a better field.
Arizona was there. Yeah. DePaul was there. Mizzou was there. And I got to sit next to Magic Johnson on press row.
That's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. So yeah, that was a bucket list item I can check off and had a great time. You mentioned the Masters. Yeah. I've never had a desire to go cover the Masters, but I would love.
Did Don O'Brien ruin that for you?
No, I mean, again, I know this will make a lot of people mad. To me, the Masters is stuffy. I want to cover the Ryder Cup.
Well, that would be fun.
That would be fun.
That would be super fun and wild. And, the international crowd, obviously, somewhere very cool would be very interesting. So,
good. I think that's a good start.
I think that's a very good
start. Okay. Vacation spots that you've never been to but want to experience.
What's number one on your list?
Alaska.
I've been to Alaska.
Denali.
Yes. Alaska is awesome.
So to preface this a little bit, my wife and I have tried to, when we've taken big vacations, to go to a national park. We've stayed in the Badlands. We've stayed in Smoky Mountain National Park. We've been to Yellowstone. We've taken some trips that have been very, very memorable. There's still many out there that I would love to get to. Denali National Park, a trip to Alaska. I want to meet a moose.
I don't blame you, although the mooses are not very nice.
No, I know that, but I still want to meet a moose. I've met a buffalo, so I want to meet a moose.
That makes sense.
So Denali's top of my list.
All of Alaska is amazing, and one of the biggest memories of my life was being in Glacier Bay and that sound that it makes when the glaciers calve off.
Oh,
it's a once in a lifetime. We took a cruise 30 some odd years ago, and having that opportunity to be in Glacier Bay while it's still there is pretty impressive.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
What would be top of your list?
I want to go to the Maldives. I don't really have a great desire to travel a lot of places, but you know how hard we all work.
Yes.
And if I ever took a vacation, like a super vacation, I would want to go to the ends of the earth and be on a small, tiny little island with my own little hut, preferably over the water.
Yeah.
And just get away from the world. Not have any media, not have any cell phones, and just relax and chill out. And everything I've ever seen in the Maldives, first of all, when you land in the Maldives, you land on an airstrip that's literally an airstrip in the middle of the ocean.
Okay.
So, and then they usually take you either to your respective island, and there are hundreds of islands, if not thousands, in the Maldives, but they take you either by seaplane or speedboat. How cool is it to go on a speedboat to where your vacation is going to be?
Speedboat would be cool. I'm not a water person. I'm not a beach person. I've enjoyed my trips to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and to Hawaii, and stuff I had the opportunity to do in my younger years. I don't care if I ever see a beach again.
Okay.
I love renting a cabin somewhere back in the woods. Maybe find a fishing hole, maybe hope that you see some wildlife come up and behind you, that kind of stuff. So obviously Denali's on the top of my list. Glacier National Park.
You've talked about that,
I've talked about that multiple times. I would love to go to the Yukon.
Yeah, I think that would be super cool.
Yeah, I think, that thing. And then I know one thing I'd love to do with my wife is go to see the redwoods in California.
And it is spectacular.
So
Growing up in Northern California, we kind of took that for granted. But yes, it is the first time it is breathtaking.
Yeah.
I think the rest of my trips would be in the continental not even the continental United States,
Okay.
in the United States. I've always had a fascination with volcanoes. I want to go to Volcanoes National Park.
Okay.
I never got a chance to do that when I went to the Big Island of Hawaii because it was such a far drive away from everything.
Makes sense.
Regret it. I mean, it's so cool to see landmass being made as hot lava flows into the ocean.
Yeah.
I think that would be a spectacular and wonderful thing to do, and that's very high on my list of national parks I'd like to visit.
That.
Yeah.
I like that idea. All right. Now, one thing we talked about on Monday Night Lights on Monday night with Monroe City football coach David Kirby and Quincy University coach Jason Kilday is songs.
Yes.
We know how much music fans they both are.
Right.
So one of the ideas I had was top 5 songs of any genre.
Oh wow, that's pretty.
So it's wide.
Yes,
we didn't scale this down.
No, we did not, certainly.
And I think part of my thinking when I was throwing these ideas at you was we both listen to a variety of music.
We do.
So, like, I love country music, but
Did you come up with a country song?
I have a country song on my list. I could make my own country list.
Of
favorite
course you
songs.
could, yes.
I could make my own Van Halen list.
Yes, of course you could.
Of course. But there's not a country song or a Van Halen song at the top of my list.
Okay, I find that a little surprising.
I figured you would.
Yes.
But I have one song that is my favorite song, has been since it was released, and will not change.
Okay.
What about you?
I could go with so many. There are so many options here.
Okay.
When you ask me what I think, first of all, I think if you're going to make a list like this, you come up with a perfect song. And for me, one of the most perfect songs ever written, if you listen to the harmony, if you listen to its relevance, the way it's been used in film, is "God Only Knows" by the Beach Boys.
Okay.
So I think when I think of a perfect song, I think that's what it sounds like, and nothing else has ever sounded like that song in the history of music.
Okay.
With the harmonies and everything that goes into it, I think that's an absolutely perfect song. I don't know that it's my all-time favorite song, but I think if I had a list of favorite songs, it would have to appear there.
Okay. See, when I think of it, I think of when that song comes on the radio and I'm in the truck, I'm cranking it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at my favorite songs.
Sure.
Okay, so the Beach Boys, what else is on your list?
Roy Orbison, "Crying."
Oh, okay.
One of the most powerful vocals, I think, in the history of music.
Okay.
One of the most unique voices in the history of music.
Yes.
I know your dad's a huge Roy Orbison
Yes,
guy.
he is.
And I've just always loved the sound of Roy Orbison's voice.
Okay.
What starts your list?
I'm going to go down to number 5.
Okay.
I'm going to work my way up.
Okay.
Miracle by Shinedown.
Okay. I know you're a huge Shinedown
I am
guy.
a Shine. So, took my nephew Michael when he was, I believe, 16 at the time. Took him to a Van Halen concert.
Okay.
In St. Louis at, I don't even know what it was Scott Trade Center then, I believe. But Shinedown was the opening act. And it's like, okay, who's Shinedown? Like, we were kind of looking at each other. They come out on stage, they play a couple songs. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. And then they played a song, and we both went, heard that on the radio. And it was their song 45.
Okay.
It was one of their very first releases. The next day, my nephew Michael went and bought that CD and burned it for me. And since then, I have been totally hooked on Shinedown. I listen to everything they release. Their solo projects I listen to. Brent Smith, the lead singer, incredible vocals. But the song Miracle has become my favorite Shinedown song.
Okay.
So that's where I start. Then I go to a Van Halen song.
Here we go.
Right now.
Is that your favorite of all the Van Halen songs?
That is my favorite of all the Van Halen songs.
Okay.
Certainly that's my favorite one with Sammy Hagar as the lead singer. My favorite one with David Lee Roth is I'll Wait.
Okay.
Not the ones most people think of. They think Jump, Panama, all that kind of stuff.
And there's a pretty wide swath of music there.
So then I stick in the hard rock genre.
Okay.
Silent Lucidity by Queensryche.
Great song. An indelibly great slow rock song.
Yes, no doubt. Number 2, Eric Church, Hell of a View.
You've gotten very into Eric Church.
I have gotten very in, and that song, above all his other songs, just resonates with me. And I play it probably almost every night at some point when I'm in my home office.
Okay.
Number 1, without a doubt, hands down, my favorite song of all time.
Okay.
Rock of Ages by Def Leppard.
I think I've heard you
probably heard
actually
me
say that
yeah.
before. Yes.
So again, turn it on. It comes on the radio, and my wife just accepts it, because if we're traveling or something and it comes on, whether we're listening to the radio or we're on XM or something like that, I crank it.
Okay.
And she just puts up with it.
I get it.
So that's my list. Where would a Prince Rogers Nelson song fall on your list?
I would think it would have to have one. I think my favorite Prince song is Deep Catalog. It's a song called 17 Days that didn't get a lot of play that people can find, and there are wonderful versions of that out there. I'd probably throw a Sinatra song out there just because I love the Torch Singers, and it would be One for the Road would be my favorite Sinatra song. And then probably my all-time favorite song is a band not a lot of people have heard of called the Afghan Wigs. They have a song called Faded that's about a 9-minute coda, which is kind of everything the band's about. So Faded by the Afghan Wigs would be my absolute must and probably my all-time favorite song.
Very nice. So I like that.
Thank you.
Different angles for
Yeah,
both
I
of us.
tried to like, yeah.
Well, but we also listen to different things. We listen to similar things, but a lot of things we listen to are different.
Right, and I think that's what kind of makes music fun, is
Yes.
that there's a level of accessibility that kind of speaks to what you love. Like, I think from listening to you and what you love over the years that there are songs that you haven't heard that I could probably steer your direction, but I could be wrong, because I know people have offered you songs that you've really loved when you've heard, and then you go, no, this isn't for me.
Right.
You have a very quick ability to discern what you want and what you don't want.
I know what I like.
Yeah.
So but the other side of that is there are things that people would be shocked that I like.
Sure.
Gangster's Paradise by Coolio is one of my favorite songs. Could it crack the top 5? Probably not.
But probably not that high, but I get it.
But I love Coolio. I love Nelly. And again, most people love Bruce Hornsby in the Range,
which is a very different type of music, but very melodic.
Yeah. So when I'm at home in the home office and I put music on, lately it's been a lot of Eric Church. There's some nights it could be Billy Joel.
Well, and that's the great thing to me about like the shuffle function on your iPod.
Yeah.
You never know what classic nugget it's going to throw you out of nowhere that suddenly rekindles all kinds of memories and fun. Speaking of that, I had a 5 for you.
Okay, let's do it.
So I wanted to ask you about your top 5 television series of all time.
Gosh.
So can I hazard a guess?
Sure, go for it.
Does Cheers rise to that level for you?
Okay. Yes. Yeah, Cheers would be in the top 5 without a doubt. Now, the interesting part is you start thinking about that and you tend to lean toward what you know.
Right.
Or what's fresh in your mind.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
it's real easy for me to go, I love Chicago Fire.
Right.
It's fresh. It's the season.
Prisoner of the moment.
The season debut of season 14 is tonight.
Okay.
As we drop this on Wednesday, it's Wednesday night. And I probably not going to be home on Wednesday night. We'll probably be out doing something work-wise. But I will watch it at some point. And all those Chicago shows on NBC right now I really enjoy.
Okay.
And so it's like, okay, so if I don't go with something fresh, then I go back to what did I watch growing up? Or what did I watch when I watched a lot of TV? Because high school, you don't watch a lot of TV.
No, you don't.
College,
you were working or in college. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, what stands out? And it's interesting the ones that jump to mind. NYPD Blue.
Great show.
Great show.
Yeah.
Hill Street Blues.
Tremendous. One of the most decorated shows of all time.
Yeah, and Hill Street Blues would probably be in my top 5. A more recent similar one to that is Blue Bloods.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that. The one that I can't explain the reason why, but I totally fell in love with it. I've watched all 7 seasons of it. SEAL Team.
You said something about that.
I absolutely love the show.
Okay.
It rose to the point where I've watched every episode multiple times now.
Yes.
And
you said David Boreanaz.
Yes.
Yes.
He plays Jason Hayes, who's the leader of the SEAL team, and supposedly the tier 1 operator who's the baddest man on earth, basically.
Okay.
And
that sounds cool.
But it is a great show. I love it. Yellowstone's very high up there too.
Okay.
Yeah, I've totally encapsulated with Yellowstone, and I'm anxious to see what the spin-offs are going to be.
Okay.
What about you?
So, interestingly, I think a lot of, like, I stream a lot of stuff.
Right.
And some of the stuff that I streamed that I thought I was really going to love or is in progress somehow peters out. So you have to talk about things that actually stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Like, I love The Bear, but after about season 3 and one unbelievable episode in season 2, which is probably one of my favorite episodes of television of all time, I feel like it's kind of taken a step backwards.
I lost interest in The Bear.
Okay.
I watched season 1, got into season 2, and it was like, okay. And I just...
There are shows that do that. They just kind of lose their way.
It didn't stick with me.
Game of Thrones did that for me. As much as I loved it initially, it lost me about season 6 and just never was the same.
Never watched Game of Thrones. Had no interest in it.
I get it. It was television done on a very grand scale. But I just, like I said, they ended it so poorly.
But I also think there are certain, that's more of a sci-fi type of thing.
Right. And that's not your thing.
That had no interest to me.
No, and I get that. And I was not a sci-fi guy until, and I still am not, but I got into that because it was particularly well written. And I watched the first season knowing nothing about it and got into it. And then I read the books, which read like you're watching a television. That was, George R.R. Martin's talent was writing in a way that reads like you're right in the middle of a movie scene.
Okay.
Which was very cool. So I had read ahead, and then he stopped making books, and they lost their way about the time that they didn't have the source material they needed. So never really, for me, I think there are some classics that go on that list. I think Mad Men is one of the greatest character sketches of all time. Don Draper, Dickie Whitman, I think Mad Men is almost perfect television. I think, give me Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul as a one piece.
I was figuring that would come up in your...
And actually, I could make an argument that Jonathan Banks is in 3 of my 5 all-time favorite, television series because he was in, obviously both those as Mike Ehrmantraut, but he was also Frank McPike in Wise Guy, a show that came out in the 80s that my parents watched that I went back and watched about, basically an undercover agent working against the criminal world. And it was so well done and something that I love. I don't know that I love it as much as I love Magnum P.I. at the time of its...
yes.
I mean, you remember how great some of those Magnum P.I. episodes
without
were?
a doubt.
And that was Thursday night, was everything stopped in the Duerr household for Magnum P.I.
Magnum P.I., old school MacGyver.
Oh, old school MacGyver was
old
great.
Old school
yes.
MacGyver. Knight Rider.
Yeah.
Do
you remember Airwolf?
Oh, yes.
Yes. So there was that whole, sort of supercar, super vehicle, superhero type of thing to that vibe.
Loved it. Loved it all.
I think my favorite thing, though, about Magnum P.I. was the Ferrari when I was growing up. That was the star of the show for me when I was 10.
I could watch anything with Tom Selleck in it.
Yeah. Tom Selleck was great.
Yeah.
And still, it still is.
Yes.
With Blue Bloods, as you mentioned.
It was great.
But I had a greater appreciation for that because my mom and dad always watched it. There were certain episodes they always talked about. And then I went back later in life and rewatched it all. And just how good that was for episodic television at the time.
Well, and if you go back to the years we were growing up, there were some great sitcoms.
Oh, there were. Absolutely.
The Jeffersons.
Yes.
One Day at a Time.
All in the Family.
All in the Family. Nobody's better than Archie Bunker.
No, well, Arthur Fonzarelli might be in that list.
True, Happy Days was fantastic.
Days was fantastic in the day.
But I really loved Big Bang Theory. I thought it was really well written. I thought the jokes were smart. Me. I just absolutely loved the show.
Okay. I would probably have to throw The Simpsons in then as my 5th just because I think the comedy level is so continuously high after all these seasons that they continue to do it. But you could go a million different ways.
Right.
I didn't mention The Wire. There are parts of The Wire that I loved. I never loved it the way other people do.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I'm sure other people don't love Mad Men the way I do. So
there you go.
John Hamm was perfect in that. And The Sopranos. I failed to mention The Sopranos.
Oh, yeah.
The Sopranos would be on my list just because Gandolfini and Edie Falco were probably the 2 best leads in anything I've ever seen.
Would agree.
So,
all right, we got a couple more lists to get to before but one I wanted to get your take on.
Okay.
Top 5 guests you would like to see on Shuck on a Truck.
Dustin Jacoby.
Okay. That would be fun.
Jim Wassman.
He's number 1 on my list.
Okay. Trying to think who I would like to see on Shuck on a Truck. You're such a good interviewer. I'm curious to see, is there anybody like non-area that you would include on that list on Chuck on a Truck if given, like your Jeff Jarrett interview was so much fun.
Oh, it was a blast.
Yeah, so
there's a couple I'm trying to get set up, not to give too much away. And
Norm Stewart, sorry.
Norm Stewart would be high on my list. I don't know if his health would allow it.
Right.
Same with Jim Wassman right now. Jim's battling, so I don't know if Jim can get up on the tailgate right now because he's having some leg issues. I'm going to convince Jim Wassman to sit down with me and at least do an interview.
Anybody can pull that off at you.
I'm trying. Okay. I've tried. And he knows I'm trying, and he laughs at me because of it.
Living or Dead? Can we do Living or Dead on this?
Yeah, if you want.
I'd love to have seen you sit down with Swice. I'm not sure we could have run it on a family-friendly show, but Dave Swicegood and Matt Schuckman would have been must-see television.
The one I missed out on that I'm most disappointed in was Rick Hummel. And we tried.
Yeah, and you guys had tried to put that together.
We tried weather. We had weather issues. We had timing issues. And then he got sick. The cancer took over. And the last time he was scheduled to come to Quincy, he messaged. We had planned on it. And he messaged me that he wasn't feeling well, wasn't going to make it. And then shortly thereafter, his illness took his life.
Yeah.
And that one disappoints me that I never got the chance because we tried.
Yeah.
It just never worked the way we wanted it to. And that one disappoints me. The one I want to do, and when I get the opportunity, and it's all about scheduling, is Derek Gould, St. Louis Post-Dispatch Cardinals beat writer. Again, he and I have a history from our days at Mizzou. We were actually roommates at one point in time.
I didn't realize that.
Yes. And so we're going to get that done eventually.
Okay.
It's just all about timing, with some of those. And some of them are all about timing. When somebody's available or when the moment's right, or there's a lot I'd like to get to.
You ever had Billy Heisler on the back of the truck?
I have not.
Schoolboy legend Billy Heisler would be my fifth.
Okay.
And by the way, condolences to the Heisler family. Billy had lost his mother, so we all our prayers and support. But Billy Heisler would be a great Chuck on a Truck just because there's so much history there and mythology there.
There's a coach that I never got to have sit on the tailgate with me, even back in the day when we were doing interviews just at post-practice and stuff in that way. I want to find Par Pitts and do a Chuck on a Truck with Par Pitts.
I want a Harry Waggy Chuck on a Truck more than anything now that I've ever realized that I want. That would have been perfection.
So, Parnelli Pitts, I'm going to come find you. I would love to do a Chuck on a Truck with Par Pitts.
Yeah. That would be pretty good.
There was one night at Quincy Notre Dame where Par Pitts was the mayor and Bill Connell was the garbage man, according to Bill Connell at the end of that game. So
Bill had a very clever and colorful way of illustrating things to us.
And and again, Chuck on a Truck wouldn't be possible. Would have never grown to this if not for Bill Connell and I sitting on the tailgate after practices way back in the day.
I think that's a pretty fair list on both of our ends.
I think so too.
That would be super fun for you to interview.
Now, the next list may upset some people.
Okay.
May cause some conversations. Favorite meals in Quincy?
Okay.
And as I started thinking about it, and again, it's like, I really like that sandwich there. I really like this meal here. I really like, and it's like, really the situation I'm in with my health and changing my diet, I probably shouldn't eat any of these.
Sure.
But they all sound really good.
Oh, I'm sure they certainly do.
So where would you go? Like if you started thinking about your favorite meals in Quincy.
Okay.
Because I know you are an eclectic eater.
I do eat eclectically, but there are a lot of old classics. It's certainly in the top 5 for me would be the Nap Chop at the patio.
Okay.
Which is my favorite piece of pork anywhere. It's so perfectly done, and although it gives me the meat sweats every time I eat it, it's one of my favorite things here. Now that's a little higher end, obviously, but that's a really great pork chop.
Okay.
And you're here in Pork America, so I think that's always kind of a perfect Quincy meal. I'm a big fan, obviously, of Soul to Soul Bistro.
You've mentioned that,
and generally I've never had a bad meal there, and they do. And I've said this before, but they do every once in a while. I think it's for Chinese New Year or some Asian holiday of some sort. I'm sorry if that's not the right holiday, but they do red beans and rice, and they do you know how much I love red beans and rice. They do an Asian version of it with a pork belly, which is
Okay.
just, it's outstanding whenever they have it on the menu.
I've never, and this is, again, no knock on Soul to Soul, I've never been a fan of pork belly.
I love pork belly. It's like better bacon, dude.
To me, it's too fatty.
There's no such thing in my world, brother. I want a Jim Wassman sandwich from across the street at 8 Open.
See, okay, so if we went across the street to 8 Open, I'd get the poutine fries.
You love poutine fries.
I love poutine fries, and they do a phenomenal job over there. Have you had Atlas Slice yet?
I have not had the pizza yet, but I have family in town this week, and I'm hoping to convince everybody that because that's my one, and I've said this before, and I'm sorry, I'm not a Quincyan.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of pizza in this town. Haven't been, there's not been a pizza that just screams out to me, this is great pizza, like it was in Columbia when we'd go to Shakespeare's.
Right.
So I'm not a huge pizza guy. I hope Jared and the good folks at Atlas Slice have nailed that, but there's not really a pizza in town for me that's a go-to.
See, I do have one.
Dude, okay.
Oh, Gem City Pizzeria.
Okay. And I've heard that from many, many people.
That's my go-to.
So I have this thing about not being able to eat pizza at a Mexican place. Sorry, that's not, pizzeria's here. That's Italian food. Mexican food over here. But again, I'm from somewhere else where those were separate. Here in Quincy, that's an accepted practice, I guess.
You're a foreigner.
I am a foreigner still. In some ways, I still am, yes.
What about, okay, you brought up Mexican.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Mexican dish or a favorite Mexican place to go eat?
Oh, there's
Because we got a variety.
I mean, there's so much good Mexican in this town
there
now.
is.
And I remember the day when, what was the Mexican restaurant out in the mall where the first time
Diamond Dave's?
Diamond Dave's, where I went to get salsa and it was a bowl of a ramekin of ketchup. And I went, oh God, this is what I've moved to. Was not a Diamond Dave's fan. But the Mexican food has become so good in this area. I like mi jalapeno. I like Los Charros. I kind of alternate between the two.
Okay.
I think the grilled meats at Los Charros are as good a grilled meats Mexican-wise as anything. And if you ask me what my favorite thing to order there is, they have fajitas, which is just actually a sliced up, delightful ribeye that melds really well with all of their stuff.
The burrito mixto from Taqueria Arandas.
Oh,
That's my go-to.
They have great shrimp tacos, Taqueria Arandas as well. So yes, yes.
I would also put for my list the barbecue pork shoe at Mr. Bill's.
Okay.
Up against any horseshoe, pony shoe, any. To me, that's my
Do you
favorite.
remember when we had no barbecue in this town,
Yes.
and then now all of a sudden we've got great barbecue everywhere?
I'll tell you what. And I would go to all of them.
Yeah, I mean, and no disrespect to any of them, but they're all super.
Yeah.
I mean, they've all,
And there
it just
are
depends
certain
on what
things
you
on
want
each menu
that you
go.
choose.
Oh, if I'm going there, I'm getting that.
Yeah, today I feel like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the barbecue places are outstanding. We're blessed in that regard, and we weren't for a long time.
Hannibal Athletic Director Clinton Graham and I have talked about doing a barbecue tour.
I think it's time.
Yeah.
And maybe we could just end it with a trip to Murfreesboro or Carbondale and go to 17th Street.
That would be wonderful. And a little Mike Mills barbecue.
Yeah. Oh, God, yes.
You know who does really good barbecue? I know it's competition barbecue.
Yeah.
Terry Bauer.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that.
His meats are really, really good.
Yeah, I've heard that, and that doesn't surprise me.
Again, my year was kind of messed up by the health scare. I'm hoping maybe next year. One of the things I wanted to do this year, and I never got to do because of my time off, was I wanted to go to one of his barbecue competitions with him and spend the weekend with him.
That would be awesome. Although I think you'd be exhausted by the time that's over.
I know I would be.
Yeah.
But I think, and do it as a story. Do it, take photos and find out what it's like. I mean, you see the shows on television, on the Food Network and things like that about the barbecue competitions. But I want to live it with him for one weekend. Because it's not just pack up your gear, show up on Friday, set up, cook, and then go home. I mean, he preps during the week and has to buy the right meat and.
Oh, it's a science. Do you have a favorite breakfast in town? I'm a huge fan, and this would have to go on my list. And I wasn't necessarily thinking breakfast right off the bat, but the corned beef hash at Times Square is one of the prettiest plates of food in this town, and it's delicious, and they've done it perfectly. And the real little poached eggs that they do on it just kind of makes it kind of the perfect. You don't like poached eggs?
I don't like poached eggs.
I love poached eggs.
No.
I love all forms of eggs. You're like Guy Fieri. You can't stand eggs.
I love scrambled eggs.
Oh, okay.
I don't like yolk.
Oh, okay.
Like runny yolk. Nope.
Put
I'm
that
out.
on a burger. I would
No,
eat that all day.
that ruins a burger.
It does not.
Yes, it does.
It's a good burger.
We're gonna fight over that
That's
one.
a good burger.
No.
Anything else for you in town that really stands out?
And again, it's simple stuff. I love Chicks on the River.
Okay, yeah, good stuff.
I love the chicken lips. If given a choice to go somewhere, and I've told my wife this with my birthday coming up, like that's where I want to go.
Okay.
And again, I can't eat the way I once did, and I shouldn't, and I won't.
Right.
But I can still have a cheat day and go sample something as long as I take it in moderation and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But that would be the place if I want to give up something here in town. Say, okay, that's where I'm going to go tonight, and I'll give up everything else. It'd be Chicks on the River for chicken lips.
Well, good for you. That's great, and so really.
And again,
good stuff.
I love spicy.
Okay.
So love buffalo sauce.
I can't eat spicy the way I used to anymore.
Yeah.
I just can't. It gives me heartburn.
I remember back in the day of going to CJ's in Columbia and ordering the Bifo wings.
There was a time that would have been a challenge and would have been fun. Now, there's not enough Zantac in this city to help me out. So,
I would still take it on.
good for you. You're a better man than I am.
CJ's was awesome place.
Yes, it was.
Spent a lot of time there, and John and Sherry did a great job of providing us with a Columbia establishment that was awesome.
Yeah, and again, I will say this with all the conviction that I have. Quincy has become such a good food town relative to what it was when I first moved to town, and I'm so proud of the way that this town has expanded. We've got farm to table, we've got Korean, we've got Thai. We've got 2 great Italian restaurants.
Yeah.
We've got
We have an Indian restaurant that I've yet to try, but I've heard great things about.
I've had it, and they have wonderful butter chicken. So the Indian grill is fantastic.
I've been told the garlic naan is to die for.
And even my wife, who's not a fan of Indian food, was stealing that off my plate when I got it. And said, "This is incredible." I said, "You should try the butter chicken, hon." So, but I can't get her to go that far yet.
Well,
someday
maybe. Awesome, dude. Well, thanks for hanging out.
I liked your list.
Yeah, why not? It was something different.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we're trying to do here on the podcast. To come up with something different, some way to entertain you with
our dazzling wit.
Yeah, our weird minds when we put them together and see what happens.
Our silly opinions, whatever. Yes, that's what we're here for.
So if you got a list you want us to talk about, or if you want to chime in on one of our lists and provide your own, hit us up.
Yeah, we'll hear your top 5 favorite songs. I'd be fascinated to hear what people love.
David Kirby better come through with his top 5 songs.
You act like he's not going to. He is so
I know
excited.
He is. I know he is.
You have excited him because he loves music at a level that most people don't.
So I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
Do you know he was a high jumper?
I did not know that.
Yeah, very talented high jumper, very athletic guy. So
yeah, I knew that, but I didn't.
Back in the day, and I just you think David Kirby, you think power guy.
Yeah,
but high jumper.
Interesting.
So
I learned something tonight.
Yeah, see, I'm trying to inform and entertain.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, have fun this week. I know we got a lot to get to. As this drops on Wednesday, we'll be knee deep in all of our postseason coverage of stuff. And then the football will get here by the weekend. And again, it's going to be a fun week.
It is going to be a fun week. And just like that, we'll be starting right back over again because that's what we do.
And we'll come up with something different to talk about next week.
Absolutely.
Awesome. This has been the Mud Brothers Podcast, brought to you by CDS Office Technologies. We'll see you right here next week.
Muddy River Sports. Our home, our sports.